It's podcast recording day and Book of Mormon day and all kinds of other things. And it's just literally Tuesday. So let me catch you up. Also, like, how cute is this cup? If you caught the funeral party we did for one of my interns, she made all kinds of cute merch, while she was at the law firm. So she made prenup girl hats. She got me this as a going away present. So cute. I don't know if you can see it. I have all my supplements and pills on top because I've been forgetting to take them the last few weeks. So I figured if I put it on top of my cup, gotta do it. You just gotta do it, you know? So, let's get ready and talk about what's on the agenda. I met yesterday with my podcast editor producer. So I guess that it is safe to officially talk about it in some capacity because it's happening. And in fact, I am not only recording my first episode. It's not going to be episode 1. It's probably going to be episode 3. But I'm recording the first official episode for my podcast, as well as I am being a guest on a colleague, friend, and mentor, coach. I don't even know what to call her these days, but I am also going to be a podcast guest today. So it is the Be in the Room podcast with Katie Garwood through 111 Media, and I'll share more. We'll share some behind the scenes, obviously. This is the same location where I did the photo shoot the other day, so if you missed it, go back and look. We just did some behind the scenes. We haven't really showed a lot from that promo shoot, but that promo shoot was twofold. It was one, to get me some potential shots for my podcast and a potential billboard, but also to do some promo shots for the Be in the Room podcast, which is what I will be a guest on today. Very, very excited. So when we planned this, I just said to Katie, hey, can we just kill 2 birds in 1 stone? I want you to be a guest on my podcast as well. Can we just film too? So that's what we're doing. So this afternoon is going to be insane. They sent me a list of questions. I have not really looked at them. I like to be off the cuff in podcasts as a guest because I feel like that's my most authentic self. However, I don't plan what I want to what I'm going to say. What I like to do is, I know the gist of the questions, I try to have variety in my answers. So many things you could ask me about my path, my career, my life. I could give you 10 different answers, or I could give you them all at once, which is a novel. It's the stream of consciousness that you guys get on the YouTube vloggies. But people don't want stream of consciousness on a podcast. They want an answer and want to move on to the next question. So because that's something that I typically struggle with, I do try really hard. Pulling off the pageant makeup. I think hers is just an audio podcast, but I'm going to play with the idea of doing video and audio. So like Gabble Gab. That's the name of my teaser. Shocker, I'm sure. We'll talk about it in a second. But I'd like it to be video and audio. So we'll see. Got some things to kind of figure out in that arena. But I do try to think about the direction I want my answers to go beforehand, but not actually plan out my answers. That went on so heavy. I've not worn pageant makeup in a very long time because I haven't been a pageant girl in several years. I mean, once a pageant girl, always a pageant girl. But and I actually had a comment asking about my North Carolina journey, so we'll do that sometime. We'll do it during a little chitty chat vlog, get ready or something one day. I also have noticed I say a lot, and it's driving me crazy. I think it's because I'm multitasking. In my real life, I don't say it a lot. And if you're in my real life and you talk to me all the time and I say a lot, please let me know, because that's gotta go. When I have been reviewing these videos and editing them, I've been driving myself insane. And I really hope that I don't do that in normal life, because I'm probably driving other people absolutely insane. I lost the brush that I need for this next thing. I'm over bronze. I am just really, maybe pageant girl to die, because this is a poor showing. I don't have the right brush for this. Anywho, so will be on the podcast. I will link it in the description Actually, I'm not sure there's anything to link yet. It hasn't officially launched, but it's launching soon. So my podcast is going to be called Gavel Gab, and there's been a lot of iterations of this. I've been wanting to do a podcast since I started the law firm. It's something I've been interested in. I've had a podcast before when I was in law school. I had the Strive for Success podcast, which was linked to the nonprofit that I started and also promoted during my time as Miss North Carolina and after. At the beginning of discussing this, probably August of last year, when we also pivoted and added kind of the prenup girl thing to the law firm, I was really thinking the podcast would be the prenup girl's guide to. And it would be entrepreneurship, starting a business, planning a wedding, choosing a guest list. So it would be entrepreneur, prenup, and then we would have a divorce diary section where I would tell kind of horror stories from being a divorce lawyer, and I would tell this crazy story, and then at the end say kind of should have had a prenup because you could have avoided all these things, and here's how. So that's where I thought it was going, and honestly played with the idea, came up with some cover art, planned out several episodes, but just was not inspired. I can't put my finger on it, but it just didn't feel right. I wasn't excited about it. And at that point in starting my law firm, I was, 6 to 9 months in when I was really considering this. And I was doing so many other things and being pulled in so many directions. And I couldn't, it was sort of the see what sticks phase. So it wasn't that I expected to monetize or make money initially or get clients right off the bat. A lot of these things are kind of figuring it out as you go. And I was okay with that, but I didn't see a whole lot of return on investment from not even a monetary perspective. Return on the investment of my time, energy, and effort. Because like I said, I had hosted and run a podcast before for 3 seasons over several years. And so I knew the time it took the recording's not that bad. It's the editing. I actually think editing these videos, if you've heard me talk about the time commitment in other videos, I think that it's much easier and rather than audio, especially when you have guests. I talked about saying, I've had guests that say, like, or another crutch word to the extent that I couldn't even listen to what they were saying in their episode, even though some of them have good things to say, because it was so distracting and off-putting, and so I had to edit them all out, so it maybe took, 10 times as long as the recording to edit, and then actually putting it on the hosting platform, getting it on Apple, Spotify, all of those places, writing the show notes, doing the transcript, because at the end of the day, if you're not doing those things, your podcast, yes, you can have a podcast, but are you going to have a successful podcast that reaches the right audience, that captivates, that gets subscribers, and that has the potential to bring you clients or monetization? No, you're not. So, and the landscape's even changed since I was doing it, which has been, 25, probably 2021 maybe was the last episode that I released. It's been a while. It was 21 or 22. So even since then, the trend is if you're not doing a weekly podcast, you're just doing it for you. And I don't have time. I do a lot of things for me. I go to the sauna. I get red light therapy. I go on walks with my dog. But running a podcast is not something I have time to do just for fun, just for me. So I wanted to have the potential to reach the right audience, to educate, to bring in new clients for brand awareness and potential monetization down the road. So I've got to do it right. All of that to say, yesterday I met with someone in Canada that this is literally what they do. So all I have to do is record the audio in any format, she said. She can fix it. That's such a scary look. Is that better? Oh my gosh, it looks so red in the camera. My requirement then is to record quality audio. She actually basically told me it doesn't matter that much about the quality. People don't care. But I care. So I'm going to try to get really good quality audio. So, my responsibility. I am going to sign the contract today. And she's going to do the setup. There's a setup fee, and she'll set up all the hosting and stuff like that. Cover art, which we already have. If I'm actually good enough at editing, I'll cover art. Here it is. Here's the release. You're the first to see it. And if I can't get it up here, check on my Instagram. I don't know. Anywho, she will be setting up everything for the podcast to go live. I've got to film a trailer, teaser, 2-minute little thingy to explain Gabble Gab podcast where law meets life is one of our taglines or sayings that we're going to coin and be using a lot. And then I'm going to try to get her 4 episodes by May 1st. We're going to mid-May launch the teaser, and we have set June 4th. It's the first time that I've shared that date with anyone. So now it's official. And I'm getting this everywhere. June 4th, hopefully will be the launch of the first episode. And I believe the episode that I'm recording today will either be episode 2 or 3. The first one, I think, is going to be a solo or a episode with someone from my law firm. So, well, you might be asking yourself, and Carly, you talked for a long time. What is Gabble Gab about? I'm so glad you asked. I would love to share. Gabble Gab, the concept behind it. So, you're on my YouTube page. So, it is meant to be Carly, chaotic Carly, who's also a lawyer, who also loves hosting and throwing parties, who loves business and entrepreneurship, who really enjoys learning more about the wedding industry and being involved in it as the prenup girl and hopefully as a bride one day. And it's to talk about all of the things. So the girly, the fun, the business, the hard, the financial. I want to have a variety of guests, and it's not necessarily female only or like this is a women only podcast, but I do think the audience is going to skew women because I love women. I'm a woman, and I love supporting women and doing fun, girly things. I think that there will be some podcast guests that are not women and that are going to provide amazing feedback and background. But I do think, color scheme, it's pink and fun and exciting and happy. And so I think it will skew more female coded, which is fine. But the idea is to just have this really fun outlet for me and people in my life. I've met such amazing people that have these really incredible stories to tell, and I want to help them tell them on this platform. I want to tell my friends love my crazy stories about my job as a family lawyer doing divorces and prenups. And while I'm bound by client confidentiality, there's so many ways I can tell the stories with little teeny tiny twists and changes that you don't know who they are. And even if they heard it, they wouldn't know who they are, which is kind of the point. And I also have, and I'm never going to say, actually I might say, we'll see, but it doesn't mean that it's my story and my client. I have a bank of insane, funny, interesting stories from other colleagues, friends, things like that who do what I do. So if you just assume they're all my stories, that's on you. But we're going to tell stories, we're going to give advice, we're going to do Q&As, we're going to have guests, and it is meant to Gabble Gab, where law meets life. I'm going to talk about my life. It's going to be a little bit of what I do here, but more focused, a little less. The stories will include chaos, but they won't be told in as chaotic of a way. It's going to be a little bit more formatted than the stream of consciousness that you guys have become accustomed to. But I think I'm finished up with this. Let's do the next step and see what the day holds for us. Oh, before that, I mentioned very briefly, but going to the Book of Mormon tonight.
I have never seen it. I really don't know that much about it. I've been told that it is so funny. So I'm very, very excited. And I have like 10 outfits that I plan to wear today. So I'll try to catch them all on camera and show you because fire. Okay. Now I gotta go eat something and get to the clinic. Today is one of the days of the week where I go to the Pro Bono Family Law Clinic through Campbell Law School, where I'm a supervising attorney and help the students that are at the clinic learn hands-on stuff about being a lawyer. And I'm probably about to be running late if I'm not already. So, toodaloo!
Here's today's outfit, and I also have homemade sourdough bagels to take to the clinic. In the car on the way to podcast recording.
Not as tan as last time.
The prenup girl, published author, and you run a nonprofit.
Done with the podcast recording. Probably. Yay! I feel like I bored Olivia to death, but she said it was good, so I'm gonna believe her because why not?
There's a reason I keep listening to you.
I do this all the time where I forget to record the most fun, interesting, cool parts of my day, but I am in the parking garage at my apartment after podcast recording, which was a blast. I went with my paralegal. We grabbed lunch at Gringo A Go-Go. We passed by it. She'd never been. I was like, have you been there? She said no. I said, whip it in. We need a little business lunch. So did that. And now I need to do some flash cleaning of my apartment, get ready for Book of Mormon tonight, and that's it. Oh, I do need to draft at least half of a prenup. I have a simple prenup that I need to do this week, and it's Tuesday. I've promised a draft by Friday, but I'd like to have it by tomorrow. So if I do about half today, half tomorrow, I can hopefully get that over to the client. They're getting married in a few weeks, so the sooner the better.